In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the query design and also define calculated fields or have calculated fields as part of the query design. Let's assume that we have a bunch of customers, they have not paid their invoices, and we want to calculate a late fee. So part of our query, we want to display what the late fee calculation would be. So here's how we do that. We go here under the query design, and then first thing we need to pick the tables that we want to utilize. So let's say we want customers, then we want contracts, and then let's say we wanted the invoices. So I'm just going to list those three tables that we are utilizing at this point, but in reality I'm going to use only customers and invoices in this case. So we want the first name, I'm double clicking on them, last name, and then let's say you wanted the street address, city, state, and zip. And then we want also the invoice number, the date, the item, the amount, and then we want whether it was paid or not. I'm going to resize this. I'm just dragging it up so we can see this a little bit easier. And now if I go and run this query, notice it's going to display the data that we picked. However, it's not filtering yet, or it's not giving us only the unpaid invoices. To fix that, we go under Design View again, and then we go under Invoices, we say Not Paid. So whether it was paid under the criteria, notice the criteria row here, we say no. Now, the next thing that we want to do, and by the way, if we run this again, notice it will be displayed. Now, if we go back, we want to create here a new field that will say late payment. And then part of that field, we want it to calculate what the late payment would be. So the way you do that is by clicking here on this option that is called Builder. So we want to build a new calculated field. We click on Builder. So first I selected the new field where we want to do this, and then secondly we want to utilize the Builder function. Before we can utilize the Builder function, it's best to save this query first. So we could say, just click on the X here on the top right, and we'll say yes. Then we'll call this late fees. And then click OK. Now we go back here to the late fees and we run this query. Then we go under the design view. By the way, you could right click on it and choose design view as well to get to it. And then we scroll all the way to the empty new field here. And then we want to click on Builder. On Builder, by the way, once you save it, notice we have all these fields right here under the expression categories. That's basically telling us that these are all the fields that are being utilized as part of this query. So all that we have to do is we click on the invoice amount and double click on it. And notice it's putting it in brackets and such. And then we do the asterisk, which is the multiplication. So we want to say the amount multiplied by some kind of percentage. So you could say it's 5% late fee for any unpaid invoices past 30 days or whatever. So then you do that by times 0. Or as part of your database, you could design another field in there or column to say late fee, like how much the late fee would be. And then in that way you don't have to enter the 0.5 manually. You could just multiply the late fee multiplied by the actual amount of the invoice. In our case, we're just going to do it this slightly manually. So we have the invoice amount times 0.5, and then we click on OK. You could have simply selected another field there instead of 0.5, like I mentioned a moment ago. Now we click OK, and then notice now it enters all kinds of codes here. Now instead of you choosing to have that as expression 1, we could have that called late fees or late fee. And then simply run this, and now notice if you scroll to the right, you have here the invoice was not paid, it's $12,000, and the late fee is $600. And it has calculated this, by the way, for all the amounts. Now, if you don't want this invoice paid, no, you can just simply hide it, like, and I'll show that in a moment. Let's say we want to format this in currency, in dollar amounts, we can do that as well. And we go back here under Design View, and then we want to choose to not display whether it was paid or not, just that column we want to hide it. And then the amount here, if you click on the actual field and go under Property Sheet here on the top, or you could right click and choose Property, and then under the Format we want to click on the drop down here and we want to choose the currency. And then you can even choose the decimal places, let's say 2 decimal places, and then you can close the Property Sheet here. Now if you run this again, notice that the late fee will be in currency. And that's how you calculate the late fee using the query design in Microsoft Access 2016. Now we save this, and then at any point for any of the customers, as you enter and change data, this will be generated automatically.